Hi everybody, it's Nick here. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the menopause again, because actually today I've just started reading this book that I've been eagerly awaiting for, The Flash Count Diary, a new story about the menopause by Darcy, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this actually, Stenk. And it's really quite deep and profound because she's actually started to give some words to things that I've intuitively felt and perhaps haven't been able to put into words. So, you know, the menopause, oh my goodness, where do we start? Yeah, you know, vastly misunderstood phase of our life, and my goodness, how unprepared are we for it? Now, I kind of put it into two groups, if you like. I think there's the physical stuff that goes with the menopause, which for each woman can be different and can be quite extreme, all the way through to some women not even noticing it effectively. Mine was quite extreme. And it's interesting that this book is actually about a diary of, well, lots of things, but there's lots of symptoms around the hot flushes and what that may or may not be. And for all of the symptoms I've had, hot flushes actually hasn't been up there at the top of my list. And I think that just goes to prove the point of just how unique and different it can be for each woman. Mine were very much around really debilitating exhaustion, excruciating backache, very, very, very low moods. It's like somebody switched my motivation switch off. But the thing the book does really bring to life for me isn't so much the physical stuff, which although it's frustrating because quite frankly the NHS wasn't set up to deal with my particular symptoms, and I went private, which is absolutely the best money I've ever spent, is the more mental and soulful ones. So the thing that I've definitely struggled with the most is this feeling of a loss of myself. So all of the stuff that I used to be able to do, who I used to be able to be, the things that defined me as me, that made me feel successful, that gave me my self-esteem, wrongly or rightly, have disappeared one by one. You know, I know I've talked about this in my previous vlogs. You know, I've always been a very highly active, very fit woman, always, you know, wanted to be, for better or worse, you know, in the boys' team, you know, play squash for a men's team, you know, out there running, hit training, doing whatever it was, and you know, being very driven in my career. I'm very driven in everything I do, you know, very ambitious, very high energy. You know, people would always be, oh my goodness, how do you fit it all in, Nick? And all of that went, and it went quite quickly for me. And I really struggled to get my head around that loss of who I was. And it's not helped by the narrative that we're surrounded by. Because the narrative that we live in, you know, and I've done it myself, it's like, you know, I've used humour as a way to take the mick out of it, you know, or, you know, don't mess with the menopausal woman, you know, it signifies the fact that we're getting old, you know, we're no longer fertile, you know, things are starting to sag. I mean, you see the adverts all the time, you know, this foundation will, you know, cover your wrinkles, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, it's not a great narrative, is it? It's not actually inspiring us with hope. It's not actually welcoming us towards this new change. And I think that's a narrative that needs to change. Because if I'm honest, the physical stuff, by hook or by crook, I could look at and, you know, take medications, take health supplements, do particular exercises and so forth. But the mental stuff was really, really crucifying. Now she does refer to it to depression in her book, and I guess maybe that's exactly, it's a form of depression, which I have definitely felt. But it's not helped by the narrative that we're living in, because we need some hope. So why does this transition have to be negative? Okay, we might not feel great going through it, but why does it have to be negative? Why does it matter if I've got a few more wrinkles? Why does it matter if my body's not quite the same as it was when I was in my 20s and 30s? Why does it matter if, you know, I look different? You know, the way I look is a reflection of my life and who I am. And I don't think any of us should be embarrassed or hiding that. You know, are we really such a superficial species that it only matters that we've got, you know, really smooth, beautiful skin and this lovely thin body that doesn't have middle-aged spread? Really? Are we that superficial? Because what about the richness that life and experience brings, and the wisdom and the way that we can, you know, help the generations coming up to navigate their way through life? What about the beauty that brings to us? Can we not see that? And it just is this a rant? I'm not sure. This is an expression of how I feel, and the thing that I have struggled with most going through the menopause is almost giving myself permission to change from who I was to finding out who I'm going to be, which means that I don't run around a squash court anymore. You know, I go swimming or I do yoga. It means that I don't do a 60-hour plus week in the corporate world anymore, because honestly, I don't think I would have either the physical energy or the emotional capacity to be able to do so. It does mean that I'm interested in different things I never thought I would be interested in. I want a slower pace of life. I want a simpler life. I want a different approach, less materialistic approach to my life. And we really need to change the narrative that we're sitting within, because it's not just about the physical stuff with the menopause, which is very important. You know, it's been the difference between whether I've got out of bed or not some days. So thank goodness for the consultant I found. But the mental stuff is equally as important, and that can be helped, I think, by the narrative that goes around the menopause, and to give us some hope and light and say, actually, maybe the menopause is just a great adventure onto the next phase of our life, and maybe our perspective needs to be more along those lines. So I just wanted to share that today, and I really, really hope that is of help to somebody somewhere. Have a great day. Bye.